How many people around the world do you think are impacted by sight loss and, for example, could benefit from all text descriptions in images? 500 million, 1 billion, 2.2 billion, or 3 billion? The right answer is 2.2 billion. That's the number of people with sight loss who rely on alt text to access visual content. I mean, we're talking about 2.2 million people who might not be able to engage with your marketing if it's not accessible. Now, before we get into alt text, let me tell you one thing. Marketing is full of jargon and complex terms, and it's our job to make sense of it all. So when we're embracing accessibility and new accessibility terms, we know exactly what tools we need and how to make our marketing better. But in order to do that, we need to know what things mean. The truth is that when we know what alt text, screen readers, and WCAG mean, we can actually create marketing materials and content that works for everyone. The bottom line, the better you understand accessibility, the better your marketing will be, and the easier it will be for you to make those changes. So, in our quiz, we talked about the impact of alt text. So let's break this down first. Alt text is short for alternative text, which is a crucial part of web accessibility. It's a text description that's added to an image, allowing screen readers to explain what's in the image to somebody who cannot see it. For example, how would you describe this image if you had to do it in one short sentence? This image of a cute dog wearing a sweater. Well, for this one, your alt text might be a small brown dog wearing a red sweater sitting on a fluffy rug. This way, a person using a screen reader knows exactly what the image looks like. A reminder is, in this case, to always write clear, concise alt text. Be specific about what's in the image and avoid phrases like image of or picture of. For example, instead of image of a small dog, you're going to say a small dog wearing a red sweater, sitting on a fluffy rug. It's the balance between keeping it short but descriptive enough to give users the full context of what's in the image. So whether it's an historical photo or a product image, alt text can really help you bridge the gap for people with sight loss, making your content more inclusive and easier to access. Many website tools like Wix and Squarespace now have AI built right in that can suggest alt text for your images as well. You can also use other AI tools to help write detailed image descriptions. Just remember, where AI can give you a good starting point, you want to double check those descriptions to make sure they capture what's really important about your image and fit with your content. Now let's talk about screen readers. A screen reader is a tool that helps people who are blind or have low vision interact with content on a website or app. Screen readers are more advanced than simple text-to-speech tools. Honestly, they are incredible. They can understand how a web page is structured, like headings and links, and give users shortcuts to navigate around. You can even adjust settings to control how much detail they read out, from basic text to things like font styles and punctuation marks. It reads the text on the screen out loud and can also describe images, links, and buttons. So screen readers rely heavily on good alt text to describe images, graphics, and any visual content, basically. Here's a simple example. If you have an image showing a sold out sign, you'd have a alt text that says red sold out sign on a white background. That way, everybody can get the message and know exactly what that is. But that doesn't really stop here, actually. There are other issues that go beyond alt text, like inaccessible captchas, missing obviously alt text from images, but also ambiguous link labels and complex forms. All of these can confuse screen readers. If you think of them as your website voice, the screen readers help people access and understand your content. So making sure that it is as simple and straightforward as possible is key. One thing that you can do is actually test your website using a screen reader, like NVDA or VoiceOver. Navigate your pages as a screen reader users would. Or have somebody actually do it for you. There's plenty of consultants, they're paid to do this as a service. This will help you identify areas where your content is unclear or accessible. And on top of that, you will support somebody whose job is to help others doing the same. Now let's take a look at another acronym, WCAG, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. These guidelines are the global standards for making content more accessible on the web. They can be quite intense. There's actually quite a lot of criteria, but they are here to help creators, designers, developers make sure the websites and digital content are accessible to people with disabilities. But understanding that WCAG guidelines are used very often gives you an idea of what they are. For example, they cover everything from text contracts to keyboard navigations. The idea is that it wants you to consider all of your users, whether they need larger text to read comfortably, using screen readers, or navigating by keyboard. Each guideline is tied to a practical usage. For example, navigable and predictable can be tied to the practice of using something like descriptive links. So links that are clearly identifiable and provide context to users about where they will lead. Can you think of an example of a non-descriptive link? You might be surprised to see this one more often than you imagine. I'm talking about the Learn More label. WCAG encourages you to stir away from generic phrases like click here or find out more in your links or learn more. Instead, you can tell people exactly what they'll get with phrases like download this free sustainable guide. As much as we're marketers, a lot of what we do, especially when it comes to accessibility, will tie back into design. So let's talk about semantic HTML. In simple terms, is a way of organizing web content using special tags that explain what each part of a website actually means. Think about your website as organizing a book. So instead of just having pages of text, in each web page, you have clear chapters, sections, and footnotes. So on website, there are tags like header, article, footer, instead of more basic div tags. These specific tags once again help screen readers understand and present your content in the right way. So when you use a header tag, it's like telling the screen reader, hey, this is the main header of this page. In this case, the best thing you can do is work with developers and designers to ensure that your marketing content and your website are structured with semantic HTML. So even if you're not coding the website itself, having a chat with your development team about semantic HTML can make a huge difference for SEO, accessibility, and UX, which is a big part of how we also want to improve the experience too. There is one thing that you can do though when it comes to obviously taking this into consideration. If you're looking at blogs and landing pages and you're creating any type of content, use proper elements like specific headings and paragraphs, because this will also make everything easier to read and find. So when a page or a blog post is well structured, visitors can find what they need quickly and easily, which means they're more likely to engage with your content. Last but not least, another handy term to get familiar with is camel case. You've probably seen hashtags written like this. Camel case for accessibility. Camel case is a term that explains how you capitalize the first letter of each word in a hashtag, except the first word. Instead of running all the words together, you make each one stand out. And this makes it easier for screen readers to understand and say each word properly, instead of trying to read one long jumbled word. For example, camel case will be read by a screen reader as camel case, which doesn't make sense. Or when written as camel case for accessibility, the screen reader will say each word clearly, camel case for accessibility. This small change can make a big difference in how accessible your social content is for people that are using assistive technology. Hopefully, social media platforms will also start facilitating this as well and make it the norm when using hashtags. For now, do your bit, because this is not just helpful for people using screen readers, it also makes life easier for folks with cognitive impairments, learning disabilities like dyslexia, because it reduces the mental effort needed to parse multi-word hashtags. So there you have it. This is a simple breakdown of some of the key accessibility terms that we often see in marketing. They also tie in with the website content experience, from alt text to proper HTML to bad hashtag formatting. These also then lead to considerations that make little changes that will actually get your content to be better for everybody. And obviously, when you're understanding those, you have a few more tricks inside that toolbox of yours. And if you're still getting started in your accessibility journey, I would recommend you check out our accessible content checklist, which is not an exhaustive, but is an introductory checklist and is a resource that you can download. You can just find it in the show notes that will actually help you making the most of your content and start thinking about more accessible practices as well. As always, don't forget to be kind to yourselves and others and never stop learning, because practice makes what? Progress. Until next time, class is dismissed.